What is up, everybody? Welcome back to Ducks and Download. You might have noticed a lot of dark side videos coming around, and that's because, well, it's the coolest topic in Star Wars. What are you talking about? So let's continue this amazing deep dive and exploration into theories and some assumptions I have about the dark side and the very creation of the Sith. Now, from what we know, there was a great schism between members of the Jedi Order that led them to follow parts of the dark side. The non-canon aspect is how long that happened. To some degree, some people think the second that those Jedi fell to the darkness, there was then a big war, the Great Schism, we get the 100 Years Darkness, we get the Great Hyperspace Wars. There's so many things that come immediately after all of that. Others believe that, much like with the Jedi of the old Dawn of the Jedi comic and book series, that perhaps they were allowed to study the dark side for a small time, being on Tython, with of course having Ashla and Bogan, the moon of the light side and the dark side. Nexuses in the Force each. But somebody would have had to have taught these Jedi dark side powers. But not any dark side powers. We're talking about the alchemy, the life transfer, the control of the undead, the control of natural elements like lightning and fire. And all of these things seem to also be magic. No, not the magic we know of here on this earth. Magic from the Nightsisters. I believe, and I think this theory has a lot of really good standing points. Make sure while you're hitting that like and subscribe button down below, you tell me what you think the creation of the Sith is. Now on to the video. So as we know, full canon now, an ancient Zepho, that's right, Kujet, the evil emperor from the Zepho, kicked out of the galaxy far, far away to another galaxy where he takes up residence on Peridea. And what did we have there but giant temples for the Nightsisters and statues of the Father, the Son, and the Daughter. That's right, the gods of Mortis, the beings and pure essence of the Force. Now, this would have taken a lot of power and a lot of connection with that power for these ancient Nightsisters and this Peridian Zepho Empire to learn about those things. What if they came to them seeing this great power rising in a new galaxy? Perhaps the Father, the Son, and the Daughter are from Peridea or from that galaxy and came to the other galaxy when they heard from Kujet. Did Kujet learn directly under the sun? No. He was kicked out of the galaxy far before then for his dark side tendencies and the way he used the winds of the universe. That's what the Zepho might call it, but what we know as, of course, the Force, not the winds of life. But still very poetic. Kujet would have then taught all of these powers to his army of Rakatan, another video for that one, and Nightsister sorcerers. We then know at some moment in time, Kujet will return to the galaxy with his Nightsisters and an army to take up his throne world of Dathomir. From there, leading a crazy siege on the galaxy, which might be what wiped out the very Zepho themselves, and is my idea for what created the very Jedi Order. When you have an ancient race of these all-powerful beings wielding what they call the winds of life, others are going to start looking into that and trying to figure out how they did it to stop them and to save the galaxy. But not everyone. Some people are going to see the power that Kujet and his Nightsister and Rakatan armies wield, and they're going to covet that. They're going to want some of that power. Well, who else could they learn it from? If Kujet has this monastic, sage-like army fighting against him, I believe he's smart enough to understand, take them down from within. Just like the Sith would do thousands of years later. So what would Kujet do? Send Nightsisters to find these acolytes, these students of the darkness, those who yearn for more power than their Jedi masters could ever give them. When we look at the ancient Sith like Sora Su, Ajunta Paul, Marco Ragnos, and these ancient Sith, Naga Sadow, they use swords, much like Mother Talzin's. They use magic to imbue the sword with dark side powers, much like the Nightsisters. They use alchemy to make horrendous beasts and monsters of war and destruction. And I bet the Nightsisters could do that too, with the way that they've worked with Rancor, the way that they've dealt with all these creatures on Dathomir, probably creating a lot of them. We also, of course, know that the Nightsisters are some of the most formidable magic dark side users in the entire galaxy next to the Sith. Whereas the Nightsisters have conquered death, the Sith have done everything in their power to match that achievement, not coming anywhere near as close. Now, of course, the Nightsisters can to a degree resurrect. I'm looking at you, Asajj. But to the other aspect, they mostly just let the dead become husks for the magic to be used. We've seen things like that throughout Sith history. Sadly, not all canon, but still really cool stuff. With the Leviathans, with undead soldiers risen from the grave and conquering over death itself through anger and hate. I'm really beginning to think that the Nightsisters from Kujet, those who learn the magic of the darkness, passed that very magic on to the Jedi. These Jedi would take their findings back to the other order. In the early years, I imagined the Jedi would have been a sage-like order just collecting as much knowledge as they can about the Force to learn it, to wield it. Such great Jedi that would then write these amazing texts and ancient scrolls that Rey will then use. Well, someone had to write those things down. Someone had to go search something that nobody wanted found. Imagine the first Jedi returns with Force choking, with Force lightning, with turning a small creature into a giant monstrosity, perfect for warfare and defense. This could have been the first schism. This could lead to the war that would cause the split between what would be known as the Sith and the Jedi Order. But taking it even further back than just the Jedi, what if the Nightsisters and their conquering conquest over the galaxy were able to make it with Kujet and his army of, again, Rakatans. I'm telling you, it's Rakatans. What if they were able to take this massive force all the way to Corban, and they find this ancient, warlike, brutish tribe, the true Sith, the Sith purebloods, the species that inhabited Corban and many other planets before the Jedi Order destroyed them all. Well, and there was a lot of self-sabotage in there, of course. It's the Sith way. Much like with their Zabrak males, Savage Opress and Darth Maul, they can imbue the Force, connecting them stronger to the pools of the dark side, turning them into powerhouses. What if the Sith purebloods that we know of in the Old Republic are the freed, conquered slaves of the Rakatan, Nightsister, and Zepho Empire? Whereas Kujet would happily subjugate Nightsisters and Rakatans, he would then find an even more powerful race than the Rakatans, allowing them to slip back into obscurity and maybe be killed off, letting the rest of the galaxy move on as we know in canon, but still giving us small Rakatan things like Infinite Empire and things like that, a puppet empire for Kujet. Now, maybe this all goes on also after he dies. I don't know. The timeline is going to be all wibbly wobbly here, but these are just a lot of ideas I'm spitting out. It was the ancient Sith that would use those crazy war swords imbued with the dark side to defend and attack one another, even attacking Jedi with them, being able to withstand lightsaber blows, just like the Blade of Talzin. All of this knowledge that these Nightsisters, that this magic would have been imbued into this culture, would have then made them who they are that we know today. A species that thrived on the most powerful controls the most. And if you kill the most powerful, then he wasn't, and now you are. A take what you can take and become what you will kind of society. After this great war where Kujet will be slain, the Nightsisters will return to Dathomir, no longer slaves and oppressed. The Sith would do the same, but after being stuck with Nightsisters for so long, which could be the origin of them taking males and turning them into monsters, much like the Massassi, patriarchal society, to fight against the matriarchal that was the Nightsisters that overthrew them. Maybe they would war and kick them off of Corban, taking back what is theirs, or the Nightsisters would simply leave after Kujet is gone and their need to fight is over. I feel Kujet is going to be a huge part in this. The Zepho are going to play a role in the galaxy that we didn't think they did. They're going to be big. The Nightsisters could be the very essence that spreads alchemy and magic through to the ancient Sith homeworlds, teaching them the very powers that then Sidious, Bane, and Malgus would come to use. Whereas I touched on before, we know that the Sith created a subspecies. And here's a picture of more of the subspecies they would create, a class system, if you will, with the Massassi A specially bred workforce also imbued through the dark side to not be force sensitive, mostly on purpose, of course, to help them be subjugated easier, and to be strong and stamina filled so they could build these massive temples for their Sith lords, the Sithari. Much like we see the Nightsisters able to mess with the biology of their own species after death, or with their own people, and create this beautiful matriarchal society where they take in these Dathomirian Zabrak males and then turn them into fighting machines. That sounds extremely close to what the Sith pureblood did on their homeworld as well. Pretty much to recap all of this, Kujet teaches the Nightsisters. The Nightsisters return to the galaxy from Peridia. They take up their throne on Dathomir and spread. Maybe it is the Jedi Order that finds them and learns a little bit, causing the Great Schism, which will then lead them to go to Corban, like a Junta Paul and Sorcesu and all of them do, and there they will learn the true essence of the dark side that the Nightsisters left scarred on the people of Corban and Droman Kas. The Sith purebloods becoming the monstrous, evil society that they are could have very well been spurred on by the Nightsisters. In layman's terms, I think the Nightsisters invented the Sith we know today. They took a normal species, a red-skinned, tendrilled species, and they turned them into what would become masters of the largest empire known to the galaxy, the Sith. Well, guys, thank you all so much for listening to this fun little theory. Tell me what you think down below in the comment section. I hope you had a wonderful time, and as always, may the Force serve you well.